Hello, everyone. Sorry to be a little bit late for this. We usually do this weekly, as you know, but today, this has been, I think it's been 3 weeks since I last posted. We have big news in Poli-Sci Pulse. We've just recently run a new article about Mike Rogers and Nathan Mathis. We are in the process of writing one about Mo Brooks and his opponent, whose name I can't recall off the top of my head. And we are also going to run within the next week an article about the Planned Parenthood scandal from covering from June to October of 2015. Now, many people have wondered why I'm covering something late. It's not timely, it's not apropos. Well, in a way, you're right. But in another way, this is the chronicle of American politics. This is the chronicle of how things got to be the way they are. And in order to fully understand why candidates were talking about who it was they were talking about, we have to go step by step and go through each individual major event, that led to the presidential race and beyond. Um, I have some teasers as well for the 2017 series that we are planning on running. We are planning on running 5100 again. It'll be called something else, something like What the States Voted For. I can't think of a good title at the moment. Um, that will be for what your state voted for, president-wise, Republican-wise, representative-wise, senator-wise, and governor-wise, and we kind of all amalgamate all of that stuff and all of those votes and the different topics that were covered, and we discover if you were if the state was able to run the nation, what would it do? That's the next one. And the other one we're running is the story of the nation. It's a series that happens. The story of the state, rather, is a series that happens every 2 years, and it's about what happened between congressional elections in the state. And we pick a story or stories from the state, and we cover, the isolated episodes. We try our best not to cover everything that goes on in the state because the amount of articles are insane for every state. So we try to choose what Poli-Sci Pulse deems to be the most significant. Now, on to what you've wanted to hear about, which is news. Hillary's coughing fit, um, which she said she was allergic to Trump, is feeling the fire as to whether or not her health is actually sound. Donald Trump recently brought on board as campaign chair someone from Breitbart, and also on his staff is someone from Citizens United, which you might remember went to the Supreme Court case about being able to show a movie that attacked Hillary Clinton. There's other news as well. For the first time in about 3 or 4 weeks, we see a pathway opening for Donald Trump in the polls. Um, if we if you just take a look at what happened here today, um, as of right now, at one point Hillary was polling above 300 in electoral votes that were beyond the margin of error, error, going by you know, individual state pollings. Well, that number has shrunk. It's shrunk to 249. Trump has 182. And of those, 161 are almost certain votes. As of right now, the weak states that Hillary has are Nevada, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida, with Wisconsin weakening, and within the margin of error, +3 to +4. The others are +1 to +2. We have Georgia, which is technically outstanding. The media right now is declaring Georgia and Texas, and I think I saw Mississippi as potential open states. I do not see it in Texas. I do not see it in Mississippi. Georgia, I believe, will be closer than it should have been, but it will still be a Trump victory. So if we add that one in, assuming the poll comes back and says it is Georgia, that brings him to 198 and 177, which we believe he will win beyond the margin of error. South Carolina, if you look at the polls, says Trump is within the margin of error. I don't, again, see Trump winning, not winning South Carolina. So if we give that to Trump, he's already at 198. Now, Ohio hasn't had another poll yet, so I can't tell you what's going on there. Arizona is, if we disregard Georgia and South Carolina, the other two open states are Arizona and Maine 02, which is one electoral vote. Now, the final thing to take a look at is if we were to switch Nevada to Trump, Ohio to Trump, let's look at Ohio actually, Virginia to Trump, North Carolina to Trump, we give Georgia to Trump, and we give, oops, wrong one, and we give Florida to Trump. If he just takes those ones that Hillary is in the margin of error for, I don't know why I keep calling it error, he will be ahead in the polls. So the next month or two, as we drive to the conclusion here, watch the following states. Once again, Nevada, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. Those are the four that Hillary must keep in order to keep Donald Trump away from the nomination. If he takes all those, plus Georgia, and let's say takes Wisconsin, he will actually have the nomination without winning Ohio or Pennsylvania. He is seeing a path through. If you notice, most candidates in the news right now, both of them, I should say most, Clinton and Trump, are spending most of their time in Ohio. My advice to Hillary would be to shore up her support in Florida and Virginia. And my advice for Trump would be to go campaign in Nevada and North Carolina. And then eventually make your way to Virginia and Florida. Wisconsin's an iffy. Now, I also have seen the same sort of poll that has Rhode Island being a swing state. As embarrassing as that may be for Hillary Clinton, we simply don't see it. It's basically like Massachusetts in that regard, always Democratic. We've also seen at one point Donald Trump was leading in Oregon. Oregon would not give him the win. It simply would not. Oregon, I believe, puts him one electoral vote off of the lead if he takes all of Hillary's vulnerable states. As we go forward, we again want to look for Nevada, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, verify Georgia, verify South Carolina, and then Trump can go after either Michigan or Ohio, and that's his path. any of the states, if he wins all the states that I just mentioned, plus either Wisconsin or Ohio, he wins the nomination. That is huge because if you had looked at that 3 weeks ago, if you had even looked at it 2 weeks ago, Hillary would have been well ahead, and you never would have thought that Donald Trump could even catch up. Now a way is open. Now Hillary should really bring out the best. And that's it for this week's edition. Um, I'm hoping to maybe go daily at some point, but we're not there yet. This has been Poli Sci Pulse. Have a good one.